And the question of the day is, what if failure isn't what destroys a man? What if it's the story he tells himself afterward? Think about that, because this question changes everything. Welcome, friends. My name is Fred. Here we talk about business investment, real life, and training, always from my personal perspective. And today, we need to talk about failure, but we need to do it with respect, because life is hard. This is the real question, because we all know people who failed once and never came back. And the truth is, there are types of failure that make it incredibly difficult to rebuild yourself afterward. When I was younger, I couldn't see this clearly. I had a naive, immature view of life. Today, I don't. And there's a moment I lived in recently that completely changed the way I think about failure. A few years ago, I was at a candy store with my daughters. Just a normal day. We were buying sweets. Talking to the owner, a man in his 60s, we started chatting. He asked about my daughters, and suddenly he told me his son had died in a car accident about 10 years ago. And he started crying right there in front of me. That moment broke me. What could I possibly say? Do you think I have the right to give advice to that man? Never. So I stayed silent. I tried to be present. That was all I could do. Because I'm at the peak of happiness, raising my daughters, and he's living with the deepest pain imaginable. And this is why not all pain can be reframed. That wasn't a failure caused by a bad decision. That was life imposing itself. Sometimes you do everything right and things still go wrong. And who am I to say that what destroyed that man was the narrative he created? I would never dare to say that. Some pain is beyond interpretation. Now, once we separate life imposed pain from everyday failure, we can talk business, relationships, and divorce. And here, the rule often changes. Let's talk about business. Imagine you start a company. You dedicate 5 years to it, late nights, weekends, everything you have, and then it fails. You go bankrupt. Total failure. Now, let me ask you something. What do you do after you lose everything? Do you learn or do you freeze? Do you grow or do you become bitter? Because here's the key point: what destroys you is not the failed business. What destroys you, it's the story you tell yourself about it. One narrative sounds like this: this fail, it hurt, but I learned. I learned money, I learned risk, I learned responsibility, and I will do better next time. Another narrative sound like this: nothing works. Business is a scam. The system is broken. The country is broken. Same failure, completely different outcome. Let's talk about divorce. Divorce destroys people. There is no way around that. And even if you never been married, you experienced emotional loss. Sometimes the emotional investment is so deep that the person never fully recovers. And that's human. But again, narrative matter. This doesn't mean you skip grief. Grief is necessary. Grief is human. Healing takes time, sometimes a long time, months, even years. And today's okay. But after grief comes responsibility. You can spend your life blaming others. And when everything is someone else's fault, you became a victim. Victims are comfortable but stuck. When you take responsibility, you regain control. Because if the problem was me, then I can change. And that realization is freedom. In my own case, when my business failed years ago, the fault was mine. I didn't understand cash flow, margin, suppliers, fixed costs. So, what did I do? I learned. And I made sure I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes again. So, here is my view. Failure doesn't destroy a man. The narrative recreates after failure does. Now, I want to hear from you. What was there a failure that changed your life? And how did you interpret it? Thanks you for being here, and I see you in the next video.